Welcome to the Renegade Insurance Podcast, a podcast dedicated to agency owners, insurance agents to help you grow your business and be more successful. Every episode, we will bring you a different interview with more information about carriers, contacts, and products to help you every day in your insurance business, to help you with clients and to grow your company successfully. Hi, everybody. I am super excited today. I get to bring to you Toni Logan. She is the Senior Vice President of Marketing with American Integrity Insurance. Toni, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Angela. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I know. You took the bright line down. So
I did.
To all the other insurance people out there, no, I'm just kidding. I appreciate you coming in person.
Absolutely. So happy to be here. And thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for what you are doing to help educate consumers about insurance. It's what much needed. So kudos to you.
Awesome. So I always love to start with your background because I don't know many people who go to school and say, I'm going to get into insurance. So I'd love for you to kind of just take us back. Where did you start before American Integrity?
And you're absolutely right. I definitely did not have insurance in my future. When I went to college, I went to USF for public relations, and then I went to University of Florida to get my master's in mass communication. So I don't know if I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Again, insurance was definitely not at the forefront or even in the background. So I started off actually working in human resources. That was really kind of my first professional job. And I worked for Kelly Services, the temporary agency. One of my jobs was recruiting for Allstate Insurance. So I was recruiting for their FNOL, first notice of loss positions, so the people who take claims. So worked for them through Kelly Services for a while, and then they finally said, hey, would you like to come on board with us full-time in human resources? So went on with Allstate, and after a while, maybe about 2 years, Allstate gave me the opportunity to put my degree to use. They actually asked me, would you like to use your degree? And I thought, wow, absolutely I would. My parents paid for 6 years of college. I think they'd appreciate that too. So I started working as a communications associate, I believe is my first title at Allstate. And I actually moved to Dallas with that role. So I worked at the Texas regional office, worked for 2.5 years with them in Dallas, and then actually started working for USAA. Moved back to Florida. I missed Florida a lot. So I moved back to Florida and worked for USAA for about 5 years. Then, the recession hit. Well, actually, I ended up moving to a different company. The recession hit, got laid off, and then was able to come on back into the insurance industry. I worked for a domestic insurance company located in the Ormond Beach area, and then after that came on with American Integrity, where I've been for 10.5 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Take us back to the time when you joined American Integrity. Do you remember kind of what intrigued you about the company and for you to switch over?
First of all, it was the opportunity to lead the department. They didn't have anybody working in marketing, so I had the opportunity to lead the department. And it's so funny. I came as we were transitioning our policy admin platforms. So it was such a challenging time.
Chaotic.
Oh, it was chaotic. It was crazy. But I look back on everything we accomplished, and I have so much pride. I look back on those days, and it's so funny because some days we're so frantically busy, and I remember when things were kind of slow because we were transitioning, and agents, kind of had, not mixed emotions, but they kind of
we don't like change.
Yeah, they didn't like change. They had to navigate 2 different platforms, and they thought, you know what, we'll just kind of hold off a little bit until you guys finish up this process. And I remember how slow things were. So whenever it's super busy and people are like, oh my God, I just remind them, hey, there were days when it was a little bit slow because we were navigating 2 platforms. So it makes you appreciate everything. And honestly, it just has been such an amazing ride to see where we started. I was employee number, I don't remember what the number was, but it was in the 120, 130, something like that. Now we have 340 employees.
Oh, wow.
Just to see the growth of the company, the trajectory of the company, the products we brought on, the fact that we're now publicly traded, just it's been such a remarkable ride. And, the first day I walked in, the door and signed my paperwork, never could have predicted everything that would have transpired during that time.
Yeah. And so American Integrity has been around for a little bit. I was kind of reading the history earlier today and how it came about. Tell us a little bit about that and the CEO and founder.
I have such great respect for our CEO. I mean, any CEO, obviously, it takes a lot of work to do what they did. But our CEO likes to say he's just a humble Kentucky boy with a public education. And what he's been able to accomplish, it really amazes me, and I really stand in awe of what he did. I mean, he left a job, a very good corporate job, where he could have been just satisfied, but he saw an opportunity in Florida. After the 2004 hurricane season, which many of us veterans remember, Charlie, Francis, Ivan, and Jean, he saw an opportunity when carriers started to leave the state. He said, "You know what? I can make an insurance company there." And to have the courage and the wherewithal and the ability to move in when things were so chaotic, to your point, it just amazes me. And the nice thing about what he's done is he's built this with our team. He's not a CEO who just says, this is how it's going to be done and we're finished with it. We work together. We've gone through sinkhole crisis. We've gone through the frivolous lawsuit and claim activity. We've been through a lot of challenging markets, and we've weathered those storms together. We had we've had Irma, we've had Ian. So we've had the literal, storms from Mother Nature, and then we've had some of these man-made storms that, were brought about this from this frivolous crisis with roof and roof claims. But through it all, he's been very steady. He's been very measured, and he's allowed our team to be involved, throughout. We have, as a company, we have town halls every single quarter.
Wow. As a whole company?
As a whole company. And that's important to him. I mean, he started this years ago when he had 10 employees, but he's continued it. So once a quarter, we all get together and he gives us an update on the company. He gives us an update on the industry. We talk about products. We talk about, just what's going on. Because it's important to him that we all be engaged, that we all understand what's going on. So he's not operating in a bubble and in this ivory tower. He wants everybody to be rowing, in the same direction. He wants everybody to be singing from the same sheet of music. He wants us all to know what's happening with the company and with the industry. And not every CEO does that. I've been in enough places to know that that's not how it works everywhere. So I don't take it for granted. And it's really one of the things that I think, I appreciate most is the transparency and honesty when things are good and when things are bad. I mean, he talked about the industry when we were going through challenges. He didn't sugarcoat it, but he gave us the assurance that we will get through this. This too shall pass and we will be okay. And we were.
It sounds like you guys have a great culture within the company too. So talk a little bit about that and give me some examples.
So, we do. We have a really, really good culture, and I've got to give a shout out to our human resources team, led by our EVP of Human Resources, our Chief Human Resources Officer. Her name is Angie Quinn, and it starts with her. It starts with our CEO, of course, but from the foundation of actually implementing it, she's the one that makes this happen. Her team really understands what we're looking for as far as the types of employees who are going to fit well with our culture. So we've got 6 core values, and I wrote them down because I always forget one, and I'm going to read them off. So integrity, commitment, teamwork, humility, passion, and fun. And what I will tell you is I'm part of the fun. And
I don't know that I see many core values with fun in it. It should be in everyone.
It should be in everyone. And really, we laugh. We work in the office. Obviously, we have some field employees who work in claims and in sales and some other departments. But we come in and we know each other and we laugh and we joke. We have lunches and dinners and, we have opportunities to connect. So every day is not perfect. Every day is not utopia, but we have opportunities for fun. And the relationships that you build when you know somebody And, on a good day, on a bad day, because, life doesn't stop when we open the doors. And if somebody's having a bad day at home, if something's going on, we're there for each other. And that's all part of it. So our CEO's favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. So we have a gratitude gathering every year.
Wow.
And that gratitude gathering is one of the most moving corporate events I've ever been to. It really is a time to recognize others. It's a time to focus on just being grateful. So we have Thanksgiving dinner with one another. It's hard to describe unless you've been there. And it's funny when we have new employees and we say, just wait till the gratitude gathering. They get it once they've been through it one time, because we really focus on other people. And once you kind of put yourself in the background and focus on others, the feeling that you get is just tremendous. And so this is, again, another deliberate opportunity for us to focus on each other as a company. So.
Yeah, I think I saw you. American Integrity has been named several times as a top place to work in Tampa, and that you volunteered together. So that sounds like a lot of that cultural piece.
No, absolutely. So I want to say for the last 10 or 11 years, we've been voted one of the top workplaces in Tampa. We also have been acknowledged by USA Today as one of the top workplaces in the U.S. We've been acknowledged by Business Insurance and actually a couple of other organizations. So we are an award-winning culture. And what's nice about this is these are based on surveys that our employees fill out. So this is how we feel as a company. And what's nice is what I love most is that marketing doesn't sit in its own silo. We engage with every department, and when I say that, everybody engages with everybody else. We know everybody in different departments. So when I walk past claims, we talk to everybody. When I walk past risk management or accounting, we all know each other. We all know it's a small company, but I really think it's a mid-sized company. We have 340 employees. But again, we know each other. And that makes all the difference in the world. So it's not like we sit in our little silos and we don't get a chance to connect. So we connect as different departments. We connect as human beings and as employees. And that part of it, like I said, it makes it a fun place to work. It makes it a place where you appreciate your coworker. And you just, you feel a sense of belonging.
Yep. And I see that American Integrity is expanding states as well. So for insurance agents, your office is located in Florida, but Florida is not the only state you cover.
Correct. So, and again, I have to think that this, as much as obviously I know our CEO thought he would be successful when he started this company, I have to think this exceeds his wildest dreams. He came in to kind of fill in a gap that he saw in the Florida market, and now we're in South Carolina, Georgia, and North Carolina. And obviously, we're publicly traded. I can't give any forward-looking advice or make any forward-looking statements.
We're not going to predict what state is
right.
next.
We're not going to do that.
What does your financials
right.
look like now? I'm just kidding.
But, the best is yet to come. But what's most important is we are not doing this just to say we're in other states. All of our strategies are very deliberate. They're prudent. We, really take a very measured approach. So when we do these things, we're doing them because we feel like there's an opportunity and also a need that we can fill as an organization, as a risk-bearing entity. So it's just been fun to watch all of this happen. Like I said, I remember when we had maybe 5 or 6 products when I started, and now we've got 12, 13 products. We've got multiple states. We now have commercial insurance here in Florida.
I'll be working on that one
next. So it's been, like I said, it's been a tremendous ride.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I had a quote here, too, that I took from the website talking about when Bob Ritchie started the company. He said that the name American Integrity Insurance was chosen because the business was founded during a time when the industry was overwhelmed with integrity issues. So American Integrity. So yes. I loved that quote that they put on there. And you also have a mascot. I don't think I've seen any other, well, besides Geico, which we won't talk about, but you have a mascot for American Integrity.
We do. So, and that's actually a funny story. So it's Leo the lion. So I started, like I said, 10 and a half years ago, and Leo kind of precedes me. So when I started again, and like I said, started as the director of marketing, one of the things that Bob, our CEO, tasked me with was bringing Leo back to life. And I kept thinking, well, how do we make this work? I mean, we don't have commercials. What does this mascot do? So he told me this whole story about how he originally envisioned Leo. So one of the things, we had a tagline, which has since changed, but our tagline was integrity more than a promise. It's now more, strength from integrity, but it was integrity more than a promise. So what we did was we came up with this, an image of a lion, and we paired it with the tagline. So Bob was really happy with that. We got it trademarked, and everything was good. Then he decided, you know what, I want to actually have a lion in our office. And I thought, okay.
Like a real lion?
Exactly. So I'm searching around, and we're looking for different lions. So I found a Steiff lion. So this lion, actually, we brought it in. It came from, I believe, Germany. They use these lions as stand-ins on TV sets.
Okay.
So
not supposed to be as dangerous, maybe?
It's not as dangerous. Well, and so the funny thing was, I ordered it. It comes in, and when I was reading the label, it said that it weighed 300 pounds. And I thought, oh my God, did I order a real lion? So I called them, and they said, oh, absolutely not. They said, no, it's not 300 pounds. It's maybe 70, 80 pounds. So I said, okay, fine. So we get there, and the FedEx people, it arrives, I should say, and the FedEx people let me know that, hey, I can't get this upstairs. It weighs 300 pounds. Well, what happened was it's packed with all this crating and stuff. That's what caused it. So I ended up having to sneak it up the freight elevator because we didn't want employees to see it. It was this whole big to-do. And then at one of our town halls, we launched Leo. And Leo was a big hit. So, in fact, we brought Leo when we would go. One of the things that we do as a company is we have town halls where we go to different areas of the state, and we meet with our agents. So we can talk to them about products and services and different things. I had to bring Leo with me.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah. So, and yeah, so our agents loved Leo. So he's now has a permanent place in our lobby. He doesn't travel anymore, and no more road trips. But he is definitely a central part of our company, and he tends to scare people when they first walk in the door for the first time, but he's a good boy, and he's the best pet you'll ever have. He doesn't shed. You don't have to clean up after him. Yeah. You don't have to feed him. He's
not
great.
Dangerous.
He's not dangerous, so he's a good boy.
Good. I didn't know the backstory behind that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So as a business owner, it's important for me to give back to the community that blesses me with, with the service. And I think American Integrity has very similar values. Can you talk about the Ritchie Foundation?
Yes. So, so I'll talk about a couple different things, if that's okay.
Yes.
Ritchie Hockey Foundation obviously is near and dear to us, and I will talk about that as well. But one of our biggest philanthropic efforts is with Metropolitan Ministries.
Oh, yes. I used to sit on the board for them.
Really?
I love that. Mm-hmm.
So we have one employee in particular. His name is Paul Roberts. He's in our claims department. Paul and his wife are BOGO kings and queens.
Oh, wow.
They know how to shop. So a lot of times, most of us will give him money and let him just go to town. And he and his wife go to every store, and they take advantage of every dollar we give them. So we actually donate the most food for any company every year to Metropolitan Ministries. I want to say we had 75 barrels of food that we donated this year.
Which is a lot for the size of company you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, we also do a corporate donation. So we're one of their major sponsors, and our name is on all the barrels. So we give financially, and then we also have our team led by Paul Roberts, who does a phenomenal job. We also work with Joshua House. So we give, especially for the older kids. Everybody wants to do the younger kids. Yeah. Joshua House is a place where abused children, a lot of them have been sexually trafficked. Kids are housed as a safe space, and we take care of the older kids. We make sure that we get them their Christmas presents that they ask for. And another thing that's near and dear to us is America's Vet Dogs. So we started sponsoring a vet dog a couple years ago. We had Her name was Storm. So she is now with a disabled veteran who had PTSD, and this veteran has talked about how he can now leave his house because of Leo. We have a new one named Storm, and Storm is going through the training now and will also be with a veteran who's suffered PTSD or some other traumatic injury. So super proud of those. Ritchie Hockey Foundation, obviously, our CEO Bob Ritchie, he and his wife Donna, they lost their youngest son, who was one of the biggest hockey fans you'll find. He was leaving hockey practice and got into a single car accident, unfortunately. And right after he passed away, they wanted to honor his legacy and his love for life. One of his favorite quotes was, "Life is energy." So he was just one of those people who made you smile and just brought energy to the room. So they decided to honor his legacy by putting together a foundation. And what's really, really awesome about this foundation is recognizing how sports changed him. When he got on the ice, he was just free. He was just happy. And he loved the camaraderie and the teamwork and learning how to to win with grace and lose with grace. All those life lessons you learn from sports. Well, they wanted other kids to feel that same joy and just the escape that he got on the ice. Recognizing that sports are expensive, particularly hockey. He was a goalie, all the equipment that goes along with that. But there are families who just can't afford team sports. It's just simply expensive. So what they wanted to do was start a foundation that made sure that every kid had the opportunity to enjoy sports. So the nice thing, again, we're not looking for the next, sports superstar. You don't have to have the best grades, and your family doesn't have to be destitute. We have a really easy application process on ritchiehockeyfoundation.org. I don't think the process is open yet, or the application process is open yet. It'll open in a couple of weeks. We just had our most recent fundraiser a couple of weeks ago. So every year we have a fundraiser in January. So we have a golf tournament, and we have a lot of athletes who participate. So this year we had Warren Sapp. We had, trying to think of some of the names. Nick Anderson, who played for the Magic. I can't remember all the names because my husband does this stuff. But we had 40 athletes, and we just have the best time. And you know how cold it's been the last few weeks. The Friday before, it was freezing. The Friday after, it was freezing. The day of, perfect weather. And I just think it's blessed because we're trying to do the right thing. Yeah. And I think every year Jason looks and watches us all, and he's just very proud of us. Yeah. And it's an honor to help perpetuate his legacy and to help the next generation become who they're supposed to be through sports. And like I said, sometimes people think, oh, sports, but so many people learn, like I said, those important life lessons on that playing field, on the ice, on the gridiron, wherever it is, and that translates into who they become as individuals, and in their corporate lives, in their personal lives, professional lives, and we just want to be a part of that. So
yeah, I love that. Yeah. Being that you're marketing,
yes,
I would like to talk a little bit about what you kind of see maybe AI or technology. I mean, it's such a big hype word, and I understand very little of it, to be honest. I would like to know, since you do town halls, what do you talk about when it comes to technology and marketing?
So from a technology perspective, one of the things, again, that I like about our company is that we don't use technology just for the sake of saying we have it. So for instance, I know a lot of companies have apps, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But as we looked at it, we thought, what value does an app bring that our native platform doesn't bring? If it adds to ease of use, or we're able to really make a tangible difference, then yeah, it makes sense. So we don't use technology just for the sake of using it, but we've obviously found ways to use APIs to be able to improve the experience for some of our agents where they have straight through processing. So reducing some of those friction points. We've used it obviously from an underwriting perspective to help us to identify, opportunities and different things within our book of business. Obviously from a claims and also risk management perspective. So we use it to improve our business, to make us a stronger company, a safer company, and more prudent. But at the end of the day, our CEO believes, and as do we all at American Integrity, that this is a relationship industry. It's a relationship business. So, for instance, there's no technology that can replace what we're doing right now.
Right.
Conversations and meaningful relationships are what we're trying to achieve. Now, to the extent that there's technology that can help facilitate that, absolutely. But we don't want to replace that human connection. And I don't think there's anything that makes people feel better when they experience a loss than to actually have somebody to talk to.
Yeah, very true. I mean, because it's the human buying the house. It's
Absolutely.
the human with the loss.
Absolutely.
So to have that human connection still needed. But
Absolutely.
we use the technology to help make better decisions.
Exactly. Exactly.
Good. So do you think that we're in a hard market right now, or what do you think the Florida market looks like?
Florida is softening. It was hard for a couple of years.
Yes.
I mean, as an agent know, my goodness, capacity was almost non-existent. It was tough. I mean, unless you had a brand new home, it was really, really hard to find a market to insure your home. And fortunately, we've had great legislative reform that really helped to mitigate some of the frivolous claim and lawsuit activity that really drove our market to the, it was definitely in crisis. It was almost on the brink of collapse. I mean, I don't know if many people know this, but there were 12 companies that went out of business since early 2000s.
Wow. I didn't know it was that many. I mean, I felt
12.
a couple of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because of largely due to what was happening from a frivolous claim and lawsuit activity perspective. And once legislative reform occurred that really mitigated some of that, now 17 companies have entered the market. It's a more stable market. Rates are slowly starting to decrease. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where it goes up quickly, but it takes a while to go down. A lot of that is due to the fact that there is still a glut of lawsuits that still have to be paid, and insurance is backwards looking as far as you have to be able to justify your rates every year to the OIR, to Office of Insurance Regulation. So you can't just drop rate and say, oh, it's going to catch up. They need to see what your loss experience is, and then you can adjust it accordingly.
I think a lot of agents don't know that.
Right.
You don't just say, this year we're going to do a 15% increase.
Correct.
It has to be based on data. It has to be approved.
Absolutely.
So you're looking backwards and forward at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and like I said, so at one point there was a 5-year statute of limitations on claims. So that meant, so if today is, February, what is today's date? 10th, 11th, whatever it is, 2026.
We're in 2026,
yes,
yeah.
That means that I could say, hey, in, 2021, February 2021, I think I had a crack in my ceiling, or caused by a hailstorm. How do you adjudicate a claim that goes back 5 years like that? So we finally got to the point where we, the statute of limitations for those. But like I said, because of that, we had so many lawsuits that still are
really quickly through.
Absolutely. So we're working through that, and as we work through that, you'll see that rates will continue to stabilize because we're just not getting the lawsuits that we used to. At one point, Florida had 8% of claims, which we should, because we're 8% of the nation. There's 17 million people, and 300 million people in the country. 8%, that's right. So we accounted, though, for 80% of lawsuit activity, claims-related lawsuit activity.
Wow.
So either Florida was doing something very wrong or there was a problem. And clearly there was a problem. There was, and I won't go.
Combination.
Yes. Yeah. So we now that we have been able to get the litigation reform that was needed, that lawsuit activity has subsided exponentially. So, and our processes haven't changed. It was the litigation that stopped the frivolous claim activity.
Yep.
So.
I can tell you how many door knockers I yelled at.
Absolutely.
I'd work at home. I'm like, do you understand what you're doing right now?
Absolutely. No, I love when they come to my house. Yeah, I give them an earful.
We're going to have a talk.
Right.
We don't get those anymore, but we're going to have a talk. Yeah. So I'm curious, as we start to close out the podcast, Toni, What's next for you? Like, you've been with American Integrity. I assume you happy want to be there, but if you could explore other options in the insurance world, what do you think would be fun for you?
So it's funny. One day we during the pandemic we would have these meetings because we of course worked remotely. And one of the things that our CEO did was we would have these Tuesday meetings where we would meet as a leadership team to try to stay connected. And we came up with all these different topics. It could be whatever we wanted it to be. One of my topics was I asked everybody in leadership, so if you could, for education and background notwithstanding, what other role would you play in this company? Mine was risk management, which is very funny because I don't have a mathematical bone in my body. I can balance my checkbook, but that's about it. But I just love, and what risk management does is basically they kind of look at our spread of risk to make sure that we're not over extended in any specific area of the state. They want to make sure that we're level so that if any one event happens, it doesn't obviously take us out. In addition to reinsurance. And I just love it because to me it seems like a puzzle piece. I love jigsaw puzzles. So that's what intrigues me about it. And I just think what they do is so fascinating.
Yeah.
So I don't think I could do that ever because, like I said, I'm not a math person, but I love the work that they do in risk management. Obviously, claims. Their work is so important. We have, if on our testimonials page of our website, just the difference that we make in people's lives. And that's what I really love about insurance. It's funny because people think all the time, oh my God, insurance must be so boring. I'm like, you have not a clue, not one clue. It is never boring.
It's quite fascinating.
It is. It's really fascinating. But when we get these stories from customers who talk about how we improve their lives. I would never, obviously, compare us to first responders. The work that they do is it can't be described. But what we do to come in and help people to get their lives back together after a loss, to me, is tremendous. And our claims team, that we have people who have such empathy for customers who have gone through a loss, and just the care that they share with our customers. That's something that can't be taught. It is who they are. And we have so many testimonials. We have one in particular. One woman, she and her husband had built their dream home. Her husband had, I believe, a heart attack. Either way, he passed away. And one of the things they picked out together was the floors. They had this whole thing with their flooring. She had I think it was a pipe that burst, and her floors were destroyed. Mm-hmm. And more than anything, she was devastated because that was that last thing that she and her husband did together. And unfortunately, the floors had to go. But our claims rep on her own worked with a company that actually took a piece of the flooring. They did it in the shape of a heart, had it framed, and when they go into her house to talk to her about it, get everything going. That was the last thing they did. Was they gave her a check, they gave her everything, but they gave her that framed flooring. And just said, wanted you to know how much your husband
way above and beyond.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Those are and that's from the heart. And our claims team is I give them kudos because that's tough work every day to deal with people at the toughest time of their lives. I mean, This is your hugest asset, and something has happened, especially when it's a total loss. Mm-hmm. And just the work that they do to get people's lives back on track to me is fascinating and deserves all the kudos in the world.
Well, I've learned a lot today, Toni. Thank you so much you can just feel your passion. If someone's listening to the podcast right now, I'm in studio with you, and I can just tell how passionate you are, not only just about the company and what you stand for. So I really appreciate it, especially the storytelling too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for what you're doing. Home insurance is one of those things. People think they understand it, but they don't. A lot of people liken it to auto insurance, and you well know, you get into an auto accident, and it's a pretty straightforward process as far as the claims process is concerned. Somebody gets into an accident, they basically look at the value of the car, and they give you a check. Home insurance isn't that straightforward. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that people don't necessarily understand, especially during a catastrophic event. A lot of times there's work that has to be done to really, settle on a claim. You don't get just one check. You get checks in different pieces, or different checks at different times. Sometimes there are things you have to pay for in order to be reimbursed for it. There are different things that have to happen for the claims process. There are things that are excluded, and that's why it's really important that customers have meaningful conversations with people like you, people who understand the policy, people who are giving guidance not based on cost, but based on what happens if you suffer a loss.
Yep.
The work our agents do, and we're so blessed to be partnered with agents like you who take the time to educate consumers. It makes the world of difference. And American Integrity is not appointed with every single agency. We are appointed with agents like you who want to take the time to educate consumers. Because the last thing we want is, after a loss, we want people to feel like they got the service that they expected. We don't ever want somebody to feel like they were blindsided or didn't understand their policy.
Yep.
So thank you for the work that you're doing to help our mutual customers to be prepared in the event of a loss.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Toni, it was awesome to have you on the podcast
Thank
today.
you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the Renegade Insurance podcast. If you would like more information, would like to join the Renegade Insurance family, go to renegadeinsurance.com today.